Alright, today I'm going to go over one of the most neglected automotive fluids, and this is one that can really cost you a lot of money if you don't change it, whether it be in repair, replacement, or just getting rid of the vehicle due to the repair cost. And that is, well, automatic transmission fluid. Automatic transmission fluid is very neglected, whether it be just people don't know better or really manufacturers are really the most at fault, because a lot of vehicles today do not have a recommendation for the automatic transmission fluid replacement. That's right, there's nothing in the owner's manual under scheduled maintenance that says anything about the automatic transmission fluid. Well, I can promise you automatic transmission fluid breaks down, it gets dirty, and it degrades. And by keeping clean fluid and using the proper fluid, very important, automatic transmission use proper fluid, you probably will avoid having transmission problems. The majority of all the transmissions that fail happen because of either severe abuse or simply not changing the fluid or using the correct fluid. This particular vehicle is a Mazda 3 2011 2.5 liter 4-cylinder 5-speed automatic transmission. It has no recommendations for Mazda when to change transmission fluid. I've owned this car since new. This is the third time in 90,000 miles I have changed the transmission fluid. Now, you don't really need any special tools to do this. You could do this in a condo parking lot. You could do this in an apartment parking lot. You could do this at an auto parts store parking lot. No jack, no ramps necessary, not even a wrench or a screwdriver. All you truly need is a topside oil changer. Now, this only applies to automatic transmissions that have a dipstick. Some are kind of sealed. You can still service them, they require a little more work, but this applies to ones that have a dipstick tube. You can simply run a topside oil changer, a siphon hose, down the dipstick tube. Let's go to the dipstick tube on this car. So you have a dipstick here. You simply run your topside oil changer. I'll show you right quick. I'm gonna go grab it. Alright, so you would take your topside oil changer with the car off, of course, you don't want it running. You would run this down the transmission dipstick tube till it bottoms out, and you would simply pump it. And you would allow the siphon to do its job, and you pump it a few more times, and you would keep sucking the fluid out until you got no more out. And then you simply kind of add what you sucked out with new fluid, and you adjust afterwards. Now, when adjusting the fluid level on an automatic transmission, you do it when it is hot. Look in your owner's manual, it will tell you. With this particular vehicle, you get the transmission up to operating temperature, and you check it while the car is running. Give an example. There's the thing, dipstick tube. You can't probably see it on camera, it's kind of covered up with fluid, but it actually says on here 65 Celsius. If you go a little farther up, it has 65 Celsius or 149 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the optimum temperature for the fluid level. Obviously, you don't have to have it perfect temperature, but the point is you want it operating temperature because the fluid level expands. Some vehicles you check with it off. Like I said, go with the owner's manual. Now, one of the things I really want to stress is use the proper transmission fluid. This particular Mazda uses Mazda MV fluid. It's not the best fluid, so I'm using a fully synthetic red line D4 ATF, and on the back, guess what it covers? Mazda MV transmission fluid. They also make a D6 which covers, you go to the website, it'll show you all different fluids they cover. But use the correct transmission fluid, whether it be an OEM fluid or a fluid that replicates it as much as possible. Some are way too universal, they cover everything from A to Z. To me, that's unrealistic, versus Redline covers several different products that cover pretty much almost all of your automatic transmission fluids out there. You can also go to rockauto.com, go to your car, go to transmission, automatic, and they've actually started selling transmission fluid, and you can pick out a very specific transmission fluid to your car that's basically like an OEM replica fluid. So don't use universal stuff, use something that's really made for your transmission. This is pricey stuff, about $12.50 a quart, but I find it to be an excellent fluid. This transmission shifts so smooth with that product. Great stuff. So this is the new fluid. This is beautiful red line. Very red, almost like cherry Kool-Aid. Very red. Smelly stuff, the transmission fluid smells. And this is what I just removed. Now, if this car actually did drain it from the pan, it has a drain plug because I had the car up anyway. But this car's been serviced 3 times in 90,000 miles. So this is the 3rd time I've done it 90,000 miles. The first 2 times I actually did it on the ground with the topsoil changer simply running down through the tube. This time I took the drain plug out. I really didn't get any extra fluid out. So this particular car takes about, to drain it, it's about 3.5 quarts to refill it. I didn't add any more fluid to it from removing the drain plug than I did from doing a topsoil oil changer. And it does have a filter in there that you can remove the pan and all that and go in there and pull the filter out and replace the filter if you want to. I really don't feel like there's a need to replace the filter, especially when this transmission doesn't even have a recommendation for fluid replacement from the manufacturer. But if my transmission was showing any type of shifting problems, I definitely would drop that pan and replace that filter. But I really just don't feel like there's a need to. But yeah, this is the 3rd time at 90,000 miles. Takes this particular Mazda, I think the transmission itself holds around 7 or so quarts, but you're only going to replace around 3.5. Do that a final adjustment with the transmission hot and the car running on this car. And the reason it is, a lot of your fluid stays up in your automatic transmission fluid. It stays up in the valve body and the hydraulic circuit, and it stays up in the torque converter, so you're not getting all that fluid out. You're only replacing some of it, and that's okay. So if how often should you do this? Well, it really depends. Do you do long interstate driving where you're doing 30,000 miles in a year, like you're a high mileage driver? I'd say do it every 60,000 miles would be more than adequate. It'd be better than most of the vehicles out there, and you probably will never have a problem. But if you're doing something severe like stop and go, you're pulling a trailer or boat a lot, I would say do it every 30,000 miles. And if you're one of those people who just does some insane amount of driving, like 50,000 miles a year, you're literally driving from here to California back, and maybe you're like a salesperson, maybe if you do it once every 90,000 miles, but just change it. You can see how much it breaks down. I mean, can you imagine what this fluid would look like if this was the first time I've done this 90,000 miles? It would be completely black, versus it kind of looks black, but it's really more like a deep purple. There's still some shade of red in there. But I've seen some fluid, it's nasty. I've seen it get kind of yellow, I've seen it get kind of grayed out, really thin. But this stuff is not really going to break down a whole lot. Yeah, I hope this helps somebody, and change that transmission fluid. You don't really have any excuses if you have a dipstick. Read your owner's manual, use the correct fluid, look up videos for your specific car, check out automotive forums. But this is something you can do. And my last tip is, please do not get a transmission flush. So many people have issues with the transmissions after transmission flushing. Forcing all that fluid through the system is not good. It's not recommended. And most of the places that are flushing your transmission, like these auto lube places and stuff like that, those machines, they've hooked up to other cars, there's crap in them, and a lot of times they're using kind of a universal automatic transmission fluid. And just please do not get a transmission flush. Just drain and refill, or suck from the top and refill. It's so much better, and that's just the way to do it, and you won't have any issues. You'll probably never have an issue with your transmission if you just do what I'm telling you to do. All right, till next time, guys.